the French kings and the Crusades is that there's nothing more documented than war and people in power. And as you guys know, that we look at history through a European view, it's Italy and France. So there's so much information that I really haven't gotten a very good chance to read through it. So I'm kind of going to give you like fairly bare bones like history of what was going on. All right, but okay, so let's start with France. France in like ancient Roman times was nothing but barbarian tribes, not very much authority, no real structure until Charlemagne kicked in. Charlemagne took over in 768 and renamed it France after the Franks. The kings of France actually lasted for about 1,400 years until the last French Revolution, and Napoleon took over, and he was an emperor, so it was kind of great. But France, the French kings in general, there was over 20 different dynasties that controlled it in France's kingship lifetime. But the French lands that we know today are not exactly what were always in place back then. France lands were always in flux. Things like Normandy and Brittany. Let me show you a map over here. I'm just going to show you with the mouse. So lands right here. This is France right here, in case you guys are completely brain dead, know nothing about geography.
That sounds like something I would say.
You know. Geography is kind of my thing, but down here you have the province of Guyenne, and then Brittany right here, and then Normandy, and then this coast right here will be a country that you may not know, known as Burgundy. And then down here is Provence. And at any time, these different regions of France could have been off of France. In, I think it was in the 1400s, France was kind of just like a corridor, just right here. And at all different times, it was separated into different things. There was West France, there was East France.
Big chunk of it belonged to England.
Yeah, big chunks belonged to England until they fought over. Northern France was owned by England. England at times was owned by France. It was always in flux. And there were different times that France was more German and more French itself. And France as an empire owned all the way to Russia. And so Napoleon made the mistake that most conquering rulers do, which is you don't invade Russia. No, it's too big, it's too expansive, don't do it.
Fail.
Yeah. Everyone made that mistake, and no one didn't make that mistake, they still in power. So that's France. Let's move on to the Crusades. Crusades, in case you didn't know, were wars declared by basically anyone that had to be sanctioned by the Pope. They were either to reclaim holy lands or to fight back opposing forces that were starting to conquer Catholic and Christian lands. But the main thing is that they have to be sanctioned by the Pope. So it's an enormous holy war in which all Catholic kings were requested to send troops and send aid and knights and things like that. Many historians believe that there are actually 7 world wars in history, and 2 of them were the 2 largest crusades. And there were, I can't even get an exact number, but there were dozens of different crusades that were declared over a course of 400 or 500 years or so. But the thing is that with these crusades, is most of them were, the successful ones in themselves were against smaller foes, just to push them back and just to consolidate lands. But the offensive ones, which were to take back the Muslim-held lands of Jerusalem and ancient Catholic world, because in this time of medieval Europe, those lands were being taken over by the Muslims. And the crusades that were declared against those lands were not very successful, because the Muslims were, at most times, more technologically advanced. They had amazing generals. They were very, very good at conquering. And also, something about the Muslims that I've always noticed is that their empires are larger and bigger. They have bigger armies under one power. And for Europe, it's always was France and the Germanic states and Celts. There's not very much solidity in the medieval period of Europe, but the Muslims had these enormous empires. And it wasn't exactly a fair fight, but they tried. Also with the Crusades were the emergence of these holy orders, which I guess my bare bones summary of what they are, it's basically warrior monks. If you were to think about someone devoting their entire life to the church and being in solitude and things like that, but rather than spending time praying and doing the will of the Lord, you're doing the will of the Lord by killing infidels. And it was known as to be a very, very noble cause. It was sort of like, if you remember the term primogenitor, which is the first son, which is Latin for first son. The first son gets the land, and the sons after that either have to make a name for themselves by being successful as a merchant, or you go into the priesthood. But the ones who didn't want to go into the priesthood wanted to go for glory. They would join the holy orders. At this point, that's all I have. Thank you.
That's good.